pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for our prayer.
Holy God, as the City Council gathers here, we thank you for calling us together for this meeting. This is our privilege and our responsibility to support, foster, and advance the mission of the City of Guthrie, Oklahoma. We depend upon you to guide us in this and bring it to fulfillment. Here and now, enable us to draw upon the wisdom and experience of yesterday as we respond to the questions and concerns of tomorrow. Give us freedom to speak the truth boldly with kindness. Give us patience to listen openly without prejudice. Give us confidence to discover and explore new possibilities. And give us wisdom to discern what is right, good, just, and the courage to do it. All glory, honor, and praise are yours, holy God, for all ages. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Another excellent prayer, as always. I open up our City Council meeting, Guthrie City Council meeting of July 16th. Second item on the agenda is public comments, public announcements, and recognitions. Don't believe we have any. Third item on the agenda is consent agendas, items A and B. A is the approval of the City Council minutes of July 2nd, and B is the approval of payment to True North Contracting for pay application number 1 for $58,330 for Phase 1A of Owens Field softball facility upgrade.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Has anybody been out? I'd like to go out there and see that. Any of you guys been out yet?
To Owen Field?
Not recently.
Okay. I've been
Yep. So they've done all the clearing and grubbing,
Okay.
and they're moving forward past that stage. So there's been a lot of burning of the limbs and cleaning it up.
We can pile in the,
Glad to see this getting on the
All
move.
right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from all those present then to approve the consent agenda items A and B. Item number 4, items removed from consent agenda, there were none. Item number 5, public hearing for Community Development Block Grant number 18230-17 and number 18547-21. Open public hearing. Eddie.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the City of Guthrie was awarded 2 community development block grants through the Oklahoma Department of Commerce to replace water lines and water valves within the City of Guthrie, namely along Division Street. All citizens were benefited with 66.57% of those being low to moderate income level. The community development block grant amount awarded total was $895,557. The city made a local investment in the project of approximately $859,000, and the city completed the project. If you'll recall, we had to terminate the contractor on this project, so we used in-house staff to complete it. The final inspection on the project was conducted in September, and the final certificate of completion was executed by Myers Engineering June 4th of 2024.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the general public or comments from the general public here in the room? What about City Council?
No, sir.
I close the public hearing, and we'll move on to item number 6, resolution number 2024-16, approval and accepting community development block grant numbers 18230-17 and 18547-21, water replacement project.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Two votes. Unanimous approval then from all councilmen present to move ahead with, to approve resolution number 2024-16. Item number 7, Park and Urban Forest Board appointment. Kenny?
Mayor, Council, we've had 2 candidates apply for this position. We've reviewed the applications and would recommend approval of Ms. Aubrey Shore and as well as Tim Poindexter to be appointed to our board, Urban and Forestry Board, Parks and Forestry Board.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. The agenda item calls for them being
Two
separate, and
different
so
votes.
we will vote on
Ah,
them.
that's all
We
I
will
was
vote
gonna
on
say.
them separately. So item number 7, which is the nomination of Tim Poindexter to the Parks and Urban Forestry Board. I'll entertain a motion.
So
You've got it, I
I
think.
have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes unanimous approval then to approve Mr. Poindexter as a member of the Parks and Urban Forestry Board. Item number 8, the nomination of Aubrey Shore to the Parks and Urban Forestry Board.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to also approve Aubrey Shore as a member of the Parks and Urban Forestry Board.
Mayor, does this fill everything up on all these boards now, or we still have some open vacancies?
As far as the forestry,
Right.
yes, that one's all filled at the present
Okay,
time.
park, and how about the parks?
We
Same.
combined.
Oh, combine them together,
We've
okay.
combined forestry and parks, and that's what kind
That's
of
what I
caused a
thought.
little bit of a challenge.
Okay.
Because both Mr. Poindexter and Ms. Shore originally had applied for parks.
Parks,
And there
okay.
wasn't vacancy then. When we combined the two, there ended up being 2 vacancies.
Okay, sounds great, yes, thank you.
All right.
Number 9.
Item number 8, amendment to agreement for the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration.
It's 9.
It's
9.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're reading the right thing.
Yeah, you are reading.
Item number 9, let me start all over. Item number 9, amendment to the agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration for Safe Streets for All grants. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. As indicated, this is an amended grant agreement for our Safe Streets for All grant. Back in August of '23, the council accepted the first grant agreement. Through that time, things ran a little bit behind, but if you remember in June, on June 18th, we approved the Kimley Horn and Associates for the project. By doing so, we were going to need an extension, so we reached out to the Federal Highway Administration, and they have granted a 1-year extension. With that extension, it would allow us the time that was outlined within the Kimley Horn, within their agreement to get this done. It also gives us a couple more months. Right now, we're looking at the end of August to have the adoption of the plan, and then September of '25 to have the final report. Obviously, if there's a couple little hiccups along the way, it still gives us a good 2-month period to still have a little bit of time to get there. None of the other terms of the agreement have changed. It was simply to extend it from December of 2024, or December 31st of 2024 to December 31st of 2025.
Do you need,
Anybody have any questions of Dan?
do you need is this
Yes.
an action item?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Entertain a motion,
So moved.
and do we have a second?
Second?
The only
Go ahead.
I have one question. What am I voting on?
It would be for,
The extension.
Extension.
The
oh,
extension.
I'm sorry, yeah, to authorize the mayor to sign the
Something
grant
you've already
agreement
done.
extension.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Extending
Thank
it
you.
to
That's all I
December
wanted to know.
31st,
Thank you.
2025.
That's
Okay,
it.
we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Submit your votes.
The wording of it didn't make
All
sense.
votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then for all those council present to approve the amendment to the agreement for the Streets for All, extending that agreement to December 31st, 2025. Item number 10, resolution number 2024-14, creating a zoning code update oversight committee. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. If you remember at the retreat we had on June 18th, I gave a summary of the zoning code and what we're kind of looking at, but also outlined a process in which we were going to take to get this code reviewed and eventually to the City Council for adoption. And the first step would be the creation of the Oversight Committee. This will be similar to what we did with the CIP Oversight Committee. This one will obviously be towards the zoning code. This one will be disbanded after the adoption of the zoning code, but it will be the primary committee that will have a recommendation that will go to the Planning Commission and eventually the City Council. As the resolution puts forth, it'll be a 10-member committee with 3 members being from the City Council, 2 members from the Planning Commission, 1 member from the Board of Adjustment, and 4 members from the community. And so with that, I would ask that the council approve or adopt the resolution, and then we move forward to actually getting people on the committee.
So moved. I think it's a great idea.
We have a motion, is there a second?
What kind,
I
let's
still
talk a
got
little bit
questions,
about
too.
the meetings and everything that you plan on. Talk about how this looks at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, once
And
the.
I understand it's an oversight committee.
Yeah, once the committee obviously is formed, then we're going to literally go chapter by chapter over the updated zoning code in that for review, questions, and making sure that everything in there is what we're looking for the community, look at any changes, similar to what we did, Councilman Bothroyd with the design guidelines. In that where we'll kind of hash things out and eventually come up with a document that the Oversight Committee is comfortable with or wanting to move forward, and then we'll take it to the Planning Commission and the City Council.
Well, so that's my question. Is it gonna be a start from scratch and going through the 4,000-page old
Yes.
one?
Every,
Because the
yes,
people
yes.
on that oversight committee need to realize that.
they will
Yes.
start from the very beginning
Yep.
with a red line version all
It's
the
gonna
way
be a
through.
monumental task.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go through the changes?
No, we're going,
No,
we're
you're
gonna,
gonna have
you're
to
gonna
go
see
through
the
the
red
whole thing.
line of
Go
everything.
through the portions.
You gotta
What
go
it
through all
started with, the red line version of what we're proposing, and then the supporting documentation through that. So you'll know exactly what changed and what's being proposed to change. Every page.
It's a great idea.
And just to add, some of it will be kind of straightforward because it's more just like legal stuff, if you want to say. There's probably 2 or 3 articles that are really the brunt, which will take the longest because that's going to have the changes and the kind of development standards that'll have the biggest impact. A lot of the other ones are, like I said, what are typical of different things. So it sounds monumental, but it probably isn't going to be as bad as some may think.
What do you estimate a time frame being?
I honestly
meetings?
I don't know at this. I'm hoping maybe we could get it to the council by the end of the year, if not very early 25. It really depends
That's a lot more than
what the comfort level is with that, but early 25.
Is council gonna vote on this 10-man commission?
Well, that's the question. How are we gonna pick those?
So
And that's why
there's-
I'm asking these questions, because the citizens at large that we'd
Yep.
wanna try to get on this, we need to let them know, hey, you're gonna be involved in 4 meetings, or you're gonna be involved in 140 meetings.
Yeah, I mean, there'll definitely there won't be 140.
I don't know.
But hopefully if we get things worked out, we'll probably do a couple meetings a month in order to get through it.
So in terms of committee members, we've got 10 members on the committee, 3 of which are from the city council. Just like with the CIP, all of the committee members will be appointed and confirmed by the mayor, which is consistent with our other boards and commissions. So this resolution would authorize that. So your 10 members, 3 of which are from the council, 2 from the planning commission, 1 from the board of adjustment, and 4 members as members of the community. So we've got representation from each board,
Everybody.
each ward, and then business owners and residents alike.
I like that.
Second.
So the 3 from the city council are representative of each of the wards?
One from each ward.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I missed that in the.
So is that something where the Jeff and I, for example, would get together and recommend someone?
So the selection in that case, yes, one of you would have to pick which one, because we can't have a quorum of a city council meeting, so.
Right.
Okay, all right. And since you are the staff person responsible for Board of Adjustment and Planning, are you anticipating then a volunteer from each one of those two boards that would be on this?
Essentially, because we'll be reaching out to see which ones would like to, because there may be some that just don't have the time commitment necessary in that, and that's why we'll have to kind of reach out to see which ones would like to be, or have the availability to be involved.
Okay.
Are you gonna try to put a councilman from each ward? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, yes.
And then as far as, let me go back to picking the citizen at large, is that something Jeff and I would get together on and present as Ward 2? This is our person, or how do you look at that
I think
word?
what's submitted is that there are 4 names that come from the city manager.
For the citizens outside, okay.
Yes, so from the city manager, it will be staff recommendation. So folks that we've worked with in the community,
Okay,
local
That's the
architects,
question I had.
et cetera. Again, they will have a final approval by the mayor, and so the idea is that you've got 3 councilmen, similar to street and CIP committees,
right.
where you're involved with the meeting prior to it coming to the meeting. So by the time it comes to the city council meeting, 3 of you are aware, 1 of you from each ward. You could share that with the council members as you're having your conversations.
Well, that was my question too. You're already gonna ferret out and present the 4 individual people in the community.
Yes, sir.
So that's fine. I've already seconded it, so by the way.
We had a motion, I didn't hear the second.
Yeah,
Did
that
you
was the
second it?
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions? Well, this is a huge thing.
It's massive.
It's a foundation point for our community.
Absolutely.
Hasn't been done in a long while.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
And but it's a very, very important role
Very,
that this
yes.
10-person board will, or committee will handle.
Now, is the mayor also on this board?
3 council members, 1 from each
Yeah.
ward.
Are you saying that the stagecoach came in and that was the last time? No.
It might have been a slightly newer than
We
that.
have,
Yeah.
we have a motion and a second. Submit your votes, please.
It was the crank cars,
All
Jeff.
votes are in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, oh, that one, okay.
We have a unanimous then approval from all
Thank you.
councilmen present then to create this zoning code oversight committee as stated and bring that back to the, move forward. Thank you. Okay. Item number 11, contract for services with Chamber of Commerce.
Mayor, yes, sir. Mayor and council, this item for consideration and possible action is a contract for services between the city and the chamber. Currently, the tourism department's part-time staff member, Missy Hancock, works 20 hours per week. And if the contract is approved, the chamber would pay for an additional 20 hours of services by this city employee, which would move her to full-time status, including benefits, retirement, et cetera. In addition to the proposed contract's annual $20,000 paid by the chamber, there would be an increase in cost to the city of about $9,700, which would be absorbed by the existing tourism budget. The position would become a full-time employee of the city, which would provide 20 hours of contracted work per week to the chamber. This would be a pretty unique partnership between the city, the chamber, benefiting both organizations, plus benefiting the position itself. So,
Didn't we have something similar in the past?
once upon a time, before my time,
Back when Bruce was here, I thought we had a check.
there was a contract where the city paid the chamber to do all the tourism-related activities for the city, marketing, promotion. So it was kind of in reverse, but in total reverse, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but I gave it a shot.
So something I'll add to this agreement, Missy, and this position will be full-time only if this contract supports it. So if this contract were to cease to exist for any reason, that full-time position no longer exists because the funding mechanism will not support it. So the employee, the proposed employee, is well aware of that. They have agreed to those terms as well as the chamber. This will be a a good partnership for us, and we look forward to doing it.
She's
Right.
real sharp. I like her.
Yeah. I'll entertain a motion.
So
Motion
moved.
to approve.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes, unanimous approval then to move forward with the contract with the Chamber of Commerce for services that will benefit the community and the partnership of each member.
Thank you, council.
Item number 12, memorandum of understanding for Blue Jay Executive Partners. Chief,
These are the gentlemen we had here a month ago, I believe, that are going to try to work with us to improve maybe our interaction with the public on traffic stops. Billy's been working on the MOU. I think we've got it where we want it to be, and we hope you'll let us try it.
and there's no cost to the
No cost
city?
to us.
I think it's a great idea. I love the.
But these are the these are guys that take the information that you sign up for and do with whatever, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And-
So moved.
But the.
Second.
Cool.
But do the individual drivers have to also agree to this
Yes.
in advance?
Yes.
So-
We will
so
put our
if they stop
person.
somebody that isn't a part of this umbrella information, it's not gonna work.
Correct. It'll be just like a normal one that we do every day.
Okay.
But if they do choose to, I don't know what you'd call it, subscribe to the service maybe, then they would have their information entered. I'll have my personnel's information entered in there, and we'll see how it works.
And how are we going to measure whether it's successful or not?
I'm not sure what metrics they have. I think it'll become pretty clear on our end, depending on how many people, citizens of the town, choose to use it. We will work with the Blue Jay partnership to get it out there as best we can, but at some point in time, I mean, we can't go out and make anybody sign up.
Sure.
So if at the end of the year, we've got 20 people signed up, it's probably not worth the time and effort. But we want to give it a fair shake, because if it does work, this could absolutely be a big thing for law enforcement citizen interaction.
And if I could, Mayor, so part of this agreement, Blue Jay is who has the responsibility to go out and recruit. And it's gonna be a recruitment issue. It's not gonna happen on its own. If nobody goes out and gets to sign up, we're gonna have 20 people at the end of it. But we don't have any obligation. We're gonna do our best.
Absolutely.
And we'll do it with good faith, but we don't have the obligation to go do that. That rests on Blue Jay.
And we're completely exonerated from any type of suits or anything else that comes with all the information they're gonna collect on the.
The only thing is really the information, and that's solely on them. We're not collecting it, we're not putting it in.
They're
Okay.
the input that we're, the benefit of it.
So we're not the middleman, yeah.
The contract's gonna
Yeah.
specifically,
And I've reworked this contract to protect it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I have a question.
Question?
In a normal traffic stop that you do now, how's that process go? You pull somebody over for an infraction.
Uh-huh.
You call in their tag. And what information you get back from that?
What information do we get back when we run a tag? Owner, insurance, address, description of the vehicle, VIN.
Okay. So from my understanding, the only difference this is gonna do for the citizen that's being stopped is supply them with the officer's information. But the one thing that I found a problem with this, in my opinion, is it stated that, and of course it's volunteer, but there was an example of pulling over a vehicle, a pickup with tools in the back, and if you signed up and it says your occupation is contractor, then it gives an explanation why you have tools in the back of your truck. I'm naive to think there's any sliver of anonymity left in this world,
Right.
but I'm old and I don't like information out there. I think it's nobody's business whether I got tools in the back of my truck and who they belong to.
Shouldn't be looking.
Shouldn't be looking. But if Jim has a bunch of copper in the back of your truck, you're an electrician, so you're okay. If I have, then, okay, what's the problem? And, you know, I use the term mission creep when we were talking about the flock cameras? And I
Yes.
still believe that exists. In fact, couldn't this information not be tied into the flock cameras at
No.
any point if you wanted to? Like, for instance, I had a bunch of copper or tools in the back of my truck, and there was a reported theft somewhere. And you could go to flock and put in my tag and see if I was in that area.
I could.
That's mission creep. That's what I don't like about today's
That's not mission
digital-
creep, that's called investigative leads.
From your standpoint, and I understand, and I do.
I mean, we like solving crimes.
I understand, and, but I can't support it.
So,
Okay.
so basically, Chief, on the cusp of what Councilman is saying, the information that you're getting, you already have it. The upside here is this other company, they're also gonna have it.
Well,
That's the
technically, we will have more information, because if you sign up for the service and we punch your tag number into our data terminal, the way I understand it is it will pop up with the picture of the driver, the owner of the car, and give us, you know, if you have any mental health issues or medical issues that we might be able to look out for. I don't know any circumstances here, but oftentimes, diabetic emergencies mimic DUIs. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of
I
people
get
that go to jail that probably we wish they wouldn't go to jail. And so if we have some of that medical information shared up front, that'll be better on our end. And then, yes, the driver, the occupants of the vehicle will be able to pull up our information or the person that's stopping them. So they'll have all of it right there. They'll know the guys or girls legitimate, and we won't have an issue.
But with full disclosure, what sticks with me from the presentation, I remember explicitly the presentation because I'm actually in cloud storage space. And cloud storage is not in the cloud, okay? Like they said that it was. Cloud storage is servers in a data center. It's hardware in a data center. It looks like it's in the cloud because you're going wireless or you're going cellular or however, you know, you're going IP based to that server. Okay, but it's not laying up in the cloud. I just want everybody to know that a cloud-based is servers in a data center. So they can be exposed. Absolutely no question.
Brandon, you asked them how they would monetize it.
Exactly.
Is that being your knowledge, that information tells me insurance companies would love to have that information.
Well, there's a lot of companies that would love to have that information.
Age of driver, vehicle they drive, and so on and so forth, occupation.
Car dealers, everybody would love to have that information. The information's gonna get out there, is what's gonna happen. That's the only way. You don't do anything for nothing. Nothing's free.
Right.
So, I mean, it's voluntary anyway, so I don't necessarily have a problem with a voluntary product. It's just like when you're on the internet. Do you opt in or out of letting your information go out there?
Sure.
I bet you everybody in here opts out. Okay? And so it's the same thing. You're gonna either opt in or opt out of it. So it's gonna be personal choice. I just wanted everybody to be clear how cloud storage is. It's data center, hardware in a data center.
It's there somewhere.
It's there, for sure.
I wondered what was going on those clear days.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. By a vote of 4-1, the memorandum of understanding is approved.
Thank
Chief,
you.
move forward with Blue Jay
Thank you,
Executive
Chief.
Enterprises.
Thanks, Jake.
Item number 13, find the role of ex officio members' position on the Historic Preservation Commission. Billy?
So I was asked a question, what the definition of an ex officio officer was, what the role and responsibilities were, and I prepared a legal opinion I sent to everybody. Jeff, did you get it? Yours bounced back on mine. Did you get a copy of this by email?
Yeah.
I escaped mine.
Okay.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm open to any questions you have. Anybody has any questions about what it means or where you want to go forward with it, I'm happy to help out.
So I've got a whole list of questions. But one major question is, when was this put into place? These ex officios, that's the main question. Well, that's one of the questions. But the big question is, why do we even have ex officios? That's the big question at this point I have. Because we have a lot of boards that I have backup data on how those ex officios are defined, but we don't have ex officios on those boards. I think at one time we did. I'm pretty confident, as I've discussed with others, this is kind of archaic in that it was put together back in way before, probably before you, Jeff, before you were on council, because this is something that was designed and put together so council would have information before video, before audio, before live streaming, before any of that. Now, if you want to watch a planning meeting, pull it up on your phone and you can see it live. You don't need an ex officio in there. Now we have people like Dan Kasayak, who is presenting back to council what's going on within these boards. I just want to make sure that we're all aware that it's kind of like, you know, don't hit your horse to the post out in front of the building anymore, that this thing is, I'm pretty confident it's pretty old. Nobody can tell me when it was even put in place.
Is there any way to find that out, Kim?
Yeah.
And I don't know that that even really matters, honestly.
Well, it might.
It,
Before we get rid, I mean, if you're thinking about getting rid of it anyway.
well,
I
we
don't
know
think it
we know
probably
that we
matters.
have multiple boards with no ex officio on it, period. Okay, but yet we have, it's defined on those boards what the ex officio is.
That's my question.
And there's boards with nothing on it. And when, I've been on this council 10 years, Jeff, you've been what, 12?
12.
Have you ever had anybody in ex officio come back to you and explain what's going on in council? Because I've not.
In the beginning, they did.
But any-
And then I took, a couple of places, I was ex officio a couple of times.
Have you heard it in the last 10 years plus?
Well, yeah, we've had a few in here that's been on there, but no, after that.
No, I'm talking about where it's reported back
Oh,
to
no.
us, nor have I. And my understanding was it was always a liaison between council and the board. And so that when they're in there, you can come back to council and say, hey, here's what's going on in ABD board. That was always the impression anyway. That's what I was told from day one. I think, Mayor,
Yeah,
you've been told similar.
I had the same kind of input as to, you know, what the role of the ex officio was, and explained to me when I first came into this role, that a conduit of information from the board to the council, that could kind of tell you some of the tenor of things that happened at that board, commission, committee meeting, and was a part of information going back to the council. And as I think you've identified, nowadays, all we have to do is hit a button on our phone or whatever, and we can see it live, or we can see a video of that particular board meeting and get that information, if you will, directly. And I know some of them go back 20 and 30 years, when that board or commission was originally initiated, and just has carried on whenever it was updated.
So, yeah, and so I pose a big question to everybody on this council: why do we have it? What's the purpose? It's non-voting.
Is it pretty common for this to happen in other cities?
No, I haven't found it.
Define what you're asking.
For them to have an ex officio on their boards?
Ex officio positions are common in a variety of different places. I think on advisory boards, recommendation boards, it's up to each city. It's whether you're a statutory city or a charter city. Former city I was in, we didn't have ex officio members on advisory boards. But that's not to say that this isn't the right way to do it. It's just not what I've experienced. If that's what your question is, if I understand that correctly.
I'm just asking if it's pretty common in other cities for them to have an ex officio system like we've got.
Yeah, I've searched with Billy. I mean, I talked to Billy about does Oklahoma City have them, does Edmond, because I can't find them.
They're there.
I don't know if you've been able to.
I didn't spend a long time looking for it. There are some that are there, but I found 2 or 3 examples in the state of Oklahoma, and state government that they exist. They exist, but they're not statutory required. They're not required in our charter. They were created by ordinance. They can be eliminated by ordinance. They can be modified by ordinance. The one thing that came to my attention when I'm looking at this is our ordinances create four boards have ex officio officers. 3 of those define to some extent what it is. It says they're a non-voting member, and 1 doesn't. And so we have an inconsistency. Not only do we have an undefined term, we have inconsistencies in the small guidance we have in what they are. And so my legal opinion is, no matter what else we do, we should at least make that term match throughout the ordinance.
Well, and I agree, and not only that, the other 3 boards that are defined, we don't even have ex officios on. And so they obviously do not serve a purpose in this day and age because we don't have them. Here's my fear. Let's say we had one on planning. And let's say, Jeff, you and your wife are gonna build a building wherever, and you've got $100,000 or 80 grand in non-refundable deposits and engineering, electrical, everything else, and you go to planning, and it's pushed that they're not gonna approve that, okay? And then all of a sudden you come to council, and let's say there's one person on there pushing that it's not gonna be approved, and here's why, and they're giving the board all these different scenarios. You come to council with your wife or whomever, your briefcase and stuff ready, it's good. I get to go in front of council, and there's the same person, okay, that already next to you over here on the board, now they're on this board. It's conflict, at the very least, in that scenario, and it serves no purpose. There's no reason for it. I'm convinced it was put together to give council information when the technology age was non-existent.
Well, and in your definition, Mayor, you made comment that it's for them to bring information back to us, but when I did it, CBB board, Justin, I did it wrong. You know I did it wrong, but we all know I did it wrong. But at the same time, nobody told me what I was supposed to do either. But when you're out there, I thought, to me, it was more about I was supposed to be bringing information to them.
Yes.
I thought I was supposed to be they could ask me questions about what they were wanting to do and whether or not I thought council might approve that kind of thing and that kind of stuff. It's more about where do you think council would be on this? That's what I'm saying.
But
It went both ways.
But I don't know that should be a part of their decision process.
That's exactly right.
Jim?
Well, maybe it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be a part of their decision process, their recommendation process, as to whether somebody says, well, I don't think the council would approve it. That shouldn't be a part of it. They should be giving us their best information and their best knowledge on the particular issue presented. So I don't see that as value. In fact, I think it's almost not valuable.
It's counter
because it's swaying that board commission committee in a way that it shouldn't be. They should be working with the information that they have, not what they think the city council would approve.
Because when they look at you as city council, they're looking at you as a position of authority.
I can see your conflict problem, and I
big
agree with that. That's a huge, depending on which board it's on, I suppose, but in some board, planning board, it could really be a big thing.
But the question that I have, Jeff had something to say.
What's the four? What's the four, Bill?
Well, it's historic preservation, it's CBB, Convention Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
I think parks and
planning,
and urban forestry has one.
Airport board as well, there's no ex officio, but that's
That's
a
a
board.
different deal altogether, though, but there wasn't planning one of them, or maybe they weren't.
Planning commission does not have a ex officio.
So the question that I pose is, why? Why do we have them? That's the answer I've been looking for a couple of days.
If I can give clarification, I said there's 4 boards, but actually it hasn't been updated online. Parks and Forestry have been combined.
Well, they're combined,
So
yeah.
technically now it's
Right, but the question is, what is the benefit? What's it pose? What's it give us?
What prompted us to do it to begin with?
We don't know that. That happened years ago by another council. We'll
There has
never
to
know
be,
that.
there has to be an ordinance drawn up
So
sometime.
the
It happened
current-
before that.
The current HPC ordinance was signed in 2001. So that's when the things that we are operating under today, the guidelines, the rules,
So
regulations.
24 years, 25 years
2001.
ago.
That could have existed long before that. I believe Kim is working on that right now. But prior to 2001, we don't know, because this is what we've operated under. And that question came a little late this afternoon, so we are working on it.
Well, I mean, I
So-
understand what he's saying. Are we doing it out of habit? It's just 'cause
Well,
we did it
yeah,
out
we
of
did do it out of
You
habit.
know, is
I'm-
that the only reason we're doing it?
Pretty much. That's what I'm
So-
finding out. Now, let me ask you, what are these other boards, how is it a detriment to them to not have an ex officio? Because they don't, and they haven't. Okay, so if there's no detriment then on these boards, then what's the upside on that board? There isn't one that anybody can tell me. We have somebody on that board, which is Dan, that, no, if there was nobody on that board presenting to us and there was no video and we couldn't watch it and hear it, yeah, I get it. But that's not the case. Not only do we have Dan that can report on it, but we also can hear and see it at any given time. I can pull it up right now and you can see it on any of them.
We haven't ever had anybody on planning, have we?
No,
Okay.
we have not.
I think it's on those other ones, Brian, like the ones we were talking about, it's just because they probably have questions they want to answer, they don't want to have to wait for a month, or let's say, I don't know, when's the next, I'm just going to use planning, when's the next planning commission meeting?
Well, plan to be the second Thursday in August.
Okay,
I
so,
remember the date.
so it maybe they, if they had, let's say they had their meeting, you know, the second, and if we don't have a meeting till after that, or maybe it's another, you know, another 2 weeks, well, they would ask questions. I think that's why they did it that way.
But how do we know that the person we put on there is going to answer the questions properly?
Don't know.
Seriously.
You don't know.
You know?
I've seen it happen where they're not answered properly. And all you gotta do is go back and watch, and I think you can see it as well. You just go back through the years and pull the archives and look. It's just like when Jim, and I'm not trying to single you out, but it's just like when Jim was on CDB, okay? He was saying stuff he wasn't supposed to be. Why, what's the benefit? There isn't one. I'm gonna make a motion to eliminate all ex officios moving forward. If it's something that becomes a detriment, this council can always reenact it, bring them back. But that's kind of where I'm leaning right now, unless someone can give me some other input.
I will tell you, I just was reviewing, Edmond has, many of their boards have it. It is a fairly common practice. That doesn't answer your question, what's the purpose of service,
No.
but it is, it's not a Guthrie thing.
Well, I didn't think it was a Guthrie thing. But again, what's the benefit of it? I hear what you're saying, Jeff, but by the same token, I don't know that we want one person representing an entire council and giving the forestry board the answers that they're looking for because they can't come back to our meeting in a timely manner.
Well, the motion that you made doesn't speak to the agenda item.
That's fine.
Doesn't speak to the agenda item.
Okay, well, it's a,
So we need to have, if there is gonna be a motion, it needs to be something that speaks to, since the agenda item is specific to HBC, it needs to be there, or.
well, then it can be eliminating the ex officio on HPC.
What, can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Can we let Kim do her research and find, it's just like the deal the other day, you know, we both wanted to wait until the guy could be here and hear his side of it. I want to hear why we're doing this.
Well, we've been-
But then they can help, we'll have time to redo the agenda item so we can vote on what you want to vote
Right,
on.
and I think that's what Billy's been doing, but don't,
Well,
you
this-
tell us what you've been doing.
Well, at this point, this is a discussion-only item, so if a question was asked, we've addressed it. If we want to add it at a future meeting for,
You've got action on there, sir.
There's
well,
action.
but we don't have a, okay.
Just regarding
We
the
don't have
role,
ordinances to
though.
pass.
Sure, I understand that. I think that the council could take action. You don't have an ordinance on here listed, so if you wanted to amend that ordinance, you should have an ordinance amending the ordinance. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
So you'd have a new ordinance number amending the existing ordinance. We can review further back and see. Like I said, 2001's current ordinance, I think Dan and Kim will get together on this and we'll figure that out. I think what you're going to end up finding is just what we've heard. The ex officio position has existed. It's a common practice, maybe not with city councils and placing them in other boards, because just like with the airport board, street committee, CIP committee, those committees are all created by the council. And those committees, you're giving your council members authority on those boards. So that's what you traditionally see. I don't think you traditionally see ex officios. So you have the agenda item, you've got the flexibility to take action. If you want to amend the ordinance, I think we come back with an ordinance, a new ordinance number, amending the existing ordinance, HPC ordinance. Do you concur with that, sir?
I completely agree.
So we would have to table that for future, for that information.
Or take no action, and we can bring you a new item with an ordinance number.
We've already got it.
The way it stands right now.
Brian's already got a
Well,
motion.
but we can also, and I'm not saying we do, I'm just saying because if nobody can answer my question, that's what my position is. But we can also eliminate this position, period, on this agenda item here, is the way I read it. Because it's taking action on that position.
It would, but
I
I would,
prefer to.
You still don't have the
I
ordinance
understand,
on.
but, and I'm not saying that's what we do, I'm saying that's what I'm inclined to do on a motion if we can't get some resolution to what is the benefit of it here.
I think if you want to make a motion tonight, you can make a motion directing me and Eddie to work towards drafting ordinances, accomplishing whatever that goal would be.
Let's go back to I mean, I'm not asking for a vote here or anything else, but if the consensus is we have to have these ex officios, then someone please give an answer to why. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm looking for the why.
You too.
It's open-ended, why? Can you give it to me, please?
Sorry,
You're
sir.
our city attorney, give me the answer.
I was not here when these were drafted, I was not here when they were passed, I couldn't tell you what
Okay.
the legislative intent.
Well, let me give you a scenario. Eddie and I start a company, let me give you a business scenario of an ex officio. Eddie and I start a company, we get $50 million of funding for a project that we're gonna do. Okay, part of that funding is based on having a board put together outside of our company, okay, that is gonna manage where that money's going and how it's being spent, because they're not just gonna give us 50 million. Okay, but we are allowed to put 2 ex officios on it, but it does not come from our company. We choose the president of the bank, and we choose maybe the head of the street department, ODOT, because maybe it's a street type project we're doing. And that's how ex officios that in my world are handled. Okay, this whole thing here where there's a conflict on ex officios, it's like if we put, I'll use Jeff, we put Jeff on forestry board ex officio, for example, or me, or anybody else, okay? And I'm giving improper information to that board, and then they're having to come here, okay? Or I'm pushing that board to make decisions based on what my opinion are, okay? And it's not the opinion of council, and then they come here and see that same person. That is a huge conflict, people, if you don't see it. Is it not? You're our city attorney.
I would argue how big the conflict is, but it's a conflict, if it exists, created by our ordinance, because our ordinance specifically states that, and when you look at it, it's kind of interesting, because one of them says when a member of the council is a ex officio, one of them says council is gonna appoint 2 ex officio non-voting members, council members. City manager and one of them is gonna appoint it. So again, there's no consistency between the ordinances on who is serving as ex officio.
And again, why are they created? They're created because there was no validation of video or audio, I guarantee, in the time frame these were created. Kim, you should be able to tell us real quick when they were created.
The audio?
No, these ordinances.
Well,
And we know that it was updated 2001 for HP.
that was when it was created, yes. And I don't believe it's been amended since.
Dan, what was the history prior to HPC? What was the history of those?
Most everything went through the Logan County Historical Society when they were doing downtown, and then in 2001, they formed the Historic Preservation Commission, because that's also when the state, we became a certified local government.
So maybe the question needs to be, when were these others created? Because they would have followed suit probably with that one on ex officio.
The other ones were probably prior to the HPC.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, that these other ones were created, and then HPC came up, and they just boom.
They just followed
And they
suit.
followed
They
through
just-
with ex officio
Yeah.
on that as well. That's all. I'm just trying to get the answer to why.
And I don't think, respectfully, I don't think you're gonna find an answer from staff that
Maybe
is the
not.
one you're looking for.
Yeah,
You know,
maybe not.
if we're talking 20, 30 years ago, which we are, at least 24 years ago, in one instance, we're only gonna be able to tell you as good as the records
Right.
can indicate.
I get it.
So, let that do with that information what you will. You've got the ability here to take action on this role in particular. If you would like for the city attorney and I and staff to go back and evaluate all positions and bring that back to you, we can do that as well. You also have the option, that as city attorney provided in his letter, you also have the option to grant the member, change it from an ex officio position, and grant voting rights. So you've got that option as well. So you've got a wide array of options here. There's endless possibilities.
Well, and so my purpose and goal in bringing this up is so that everybody, not just on this board, but on TV and in this room, knows what the role is of these positions, because it's supposed to be more than just one ex officio out there. Okay, and why do we have it? Do we want it? Do you want someone representing you as a council body and given the kind of information that I've seen being given? Okay, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might just want to go look at some of these meetings. Okay, because it's inaccurate information that's been put out there, period. If we need to get into the details of it, we can, but I don't think we need to. I don't want somebody representing me that doesn't know what they're talking about, as far as numbers and data. And maybe y'all do. So, in a worst case, we have to amend the ordinance to match the others. But again, I don't even see a use for it, period. And if we do, maybe that use ought to be a public ex officio, just like we would do within a corporation.
If the council wanted to do something like that, that would throw off the number of seats on the board, and we would want to keep that board an odd number. So we would want to create an additional position.
I'm talking about a non-voting ex officio from the public versus from the council.
Okay, that's different.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's different.
So I'm hearing two significant issues. One is, should we have ex officio members on any of our boards and commissions? What is the role if we do have them? And if we do have them, how do we have consistent language in all of the ordinances which deal with ex officio members?
And then
And
why
how do we prevent conflicts as well?
And why do we have them? This is the big
That was
question.
the first thing.
Well,
That's the first, I said three things.
okay, I didn't catch the why.
So why do we have
Oh, yeah,
them?
that's the
Okay?
key.
Yeah, and what is their responsibilities? And how do we, if we decide that we want to continue to have them, how do we have language that's consistent amongst all of the ordinances that make these boards and commissions and committees?
Because that why may be able to be answered, and it's a huge benefit.
I don't think we're answering it tonight.
No, I don't think so either. So I don't know who's going to answer the why. It's going to have to, I don't know who's going to answer it.
Can we postpone your motion?
Well, he's got a
Absolutely.
motion,
No,
but it
I
hasn't
don't-
been seconded.
This is,
It has been?
Has not.
well, wait a second. This doesn't have to be handled tonight by any means. I'm the kind of person that I like full discussion and disclosure
I know,
on
I
everything.
was just addressing that you made a motion, but it has not been seconded.
Or retracted?
I can retract that motion because I meant to say I'm only left with being able to make a motion to eliminate the
Are you
positions
retracting it?
completely. Yes.
Okay.
I think that we need to have more discussion on it. We need to figure out why. And if we're gonna have an ex officio, is a council member the right person to have as an ex officio? non-voting or is a person of the general public. Another part of the definition is ex officios used to run the meetings because we have somebody that runs the meetings in staff. So we don't need an ex officio to run the meetings. So that's not a why. That's not an answer to it. Okay, in every board that we have staff in there to run the meeting. If we didn't, and maybe in the day we didn't have that, it's very possible.
I will make a motion to table this item and future information as to the roles and responsibilities of ex officio, if this council wants to continue to have ex officio members, and if so, how do we have common language amongst all of the ordinances that discuss ex officio membership on boards and commissions?
I'll second that.
There you go.
Do you want, Mayor, would you like to have an ordinance to amend it
Well, yes,
completely
we would
on the
need
next
to.
item? On the next agenda?
Yeah, we would need to. We don't have
At
to.
a
We
future
take,
meeting,
I
yeah.
mean, we need to have it to be able to take action.
So what do you want to see from staff? I understand we want to define those three things, and I think the city attorney, I think we've attempted to do that. How can we expand on that and make sure that we're giving you the information you need?
Until someone can answer why, which is probably never going to get answered, I don't know. Or the benefit. Let's go for a benefit. What's the benefit of it? You know, the benefit of you eating is so that you don't starve. So what's the benefit of the ex officio in this particular scenario? A council appointed ex officio, I might add. But yeah, I want all discussion, and we have a couple members that aren't here, and I'd like to hear from them as well, what their thoughts are on it, because I think that everybody should be heard.
I'm clear.
Other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Any other? Submit your votes.
Motion and second to table?
Yes.
To table, to table and to bring more information to
Come back
answer
to
the
this
three
again at a later
questions
date.
that were posed.
On the next council meeting.
Okay, submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes, unanimous approval then to table this particular item, item number 13 on our agenda, and to bring additional information and have further discussion concerning why we have, if we should have, no, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Why we have ex officio members on boards, what is their responsibilities, and that we have common language amongst all of the ordinances that deal with ex officio membership on boards, commissions, and committees. Okay, that was going to be a quick one.
It was.
Item number 14, I had it down here, quick. Item number 14, City Council Ward Boundaries and Maps. Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, if you'll recall, at the council retreat on June 18th, staff proposed a ward map to you, and we discussed at that time amending the proposed map to give each ward a portion of the downtown core. Okay, so Kim and I went back and we looked at the maps from 1990, 2000, 2010, and what we discovered is that the Hill Edition, which is what we had attempted to switch, so that way we could give each ward a portion, that triangle piece in your
Right.
packet, each ward a portion of the downtown. We found is in 1990, the Hill was in Ward 1, but shows Ward 3 is covering the west side of Guthrie and the Liberty Lake area. Okay, so that's a substantial difference from what you see today. The 2000 ward map moved the Liberty Lake area to Ward 2 and the Hill Edition to Ward 3. And then the 2010 ward map shift the triangle area between Division and Oklahoma and the railroad track from Ward 1 to Ward 3. So what we've proposed here is identical to the 2000 ward map, which moves that triangle area. If you can get that,
You wanna point
that
it
next
out?
map for us, Aaron. One more.
One more.
You're getting there.
One more.
That's the proposed.
That all he's got?
That's the proposed, but it's
What are we
too large.
changing
Yeah,
here?
it's been enlarged. So there's a triangle, as we've discussed, there's a triangle piece between Oklahoma Division and the railroad track. What we're proposing, because if we were to move forward with the request of moving the Hill Addition, we'd be changing the ward in which those residents have been in for 20 plus years. So what we'd like to do is proceed with the ward map that we proposed, which is essentially the same ward map we had in 2000, keeping everything, taking that triangle piece from Ward 3 back to Ward 1, and proceeding just as we proposed in that council retreat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't remember that.
So in your packet, you can see,
I gotta get to the page of that.
it will be page 93.
That's a long way down there.
Well, especially when your iPad's dying on you. All right.
Come on, what are you doing there? Get out of there.
Good.
93.
It's actually,
On here, it's not.
maps aren't on 93.
Yeah, the maps are on.
So when you get to that, you'll see a blue dot, which is directly south of State Highway 33, West Noble Avenue. There's a black defining line, which creates a triangular shape between Division to the west and then to the south of Oklahoma there.
So it's just that one little piece right there.
That's what we're proposing.
Blue
Yes, sir.
dot. Where?
So
Oh,
what's
that's-
actually there?
This is what you're proposing. So it's.
I see what you're talking about.
That little triangle is
Is that where the creamery
That's
is?
gonna be Ward 2?
102.
No, that will go back
That's
to
the railroad
Ward
tracks here.
3.
Just a moment.
colors.
So we'll move it from Ward 3 back to Ward 1. So this is the same map we had in 2000.
Oh, and then the rest of that triangle goes to Ward 3, right?
From Ward 3 back to Ward 1. So Ward 3 would be making the adjustment there.
Correct.
So Ward 3 is just giving up the blue
Just
circle.
that little bitty trail.
That's correct. It's based on, I'm sorry, the triangle size, and it's based on the population.
Map is.
Hold on, the green is Ward 3, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
The green is Ward 3.
It's all about.
So the Hill Addition would remain in Ward 3.
Right, I see that.
You're just gonna extend Ward
It's
1
on-
back
it's
over into
102
downtown,
is the
okay.
present.
That's right.
That's how it was when I got elected.
And
No,
Eddie, you're saying this
101, excuse me.
this
Remember the
replicates
last time,
the
the
map
first time.
of 2000?
That's correct.
We never
That's correct.
changed.
And it's based on a population number.
Sure.
Okay? So your density is what's going to determine
Okay.
this.
Wood.
All right.
Ward was on there. He's the one that they're both telling.
Staff would recommend approval.
As long as all wards
Questions?
end up with a piece of downtown, that was the concern, because before it was taking it away from 3.
Well, keep in
It
mind.
still is some.
Yes, this proposal is still removing the portion of the downtown from Ward 3. The solution here, if we were to swap the hill, we would essentially be going back to what we did, in 1990.
Yeah, we don't
Where
know that
we
we
swap
wanted
the
that.
hill and then we change
Everything.
Liberty Lake and we have to adjust, and because Ward 2 is the largest in terms of geographic area, that would be quite.
So
a shift.
Ward 3 ends up with no downtown.
And Ward 3's essentially has not had any downtown other
That's what
than
I
the
mean.
last, yeah.
The last
Other than
10
the
years.
last
Yeah,
10 years.
other than the last 10 years.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See votes. Unanimous approval from all those present then to accept the proposed map as presented, which replicates basically the 2000 census map.
Yeah. And so there's a process that I'll have to follow as far as putting out a public notice, and an ordinance will come
You'll
back
have an
forward.
ordinance next, so this is the first step in that.
First step,
process. Yep.
okay. All right. Okay. Item number 15, city manager report. Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, I will keep it brief tonight. Your staff has been hard at work on the budget, so we do have some large tasks ahead of us with that budget, but we're doing the best that we can. Recently had Red Brick Nights, which was the 4th of July, the Independence Day celebration. We had a huge number of turnout, folks that were out there, so that was awesome. It was about 38 minutes long if you were there, so that's just another feather in our hat. Had lots of people compliment the fireworks as well as the music. The weather couldn't have been better.
Oh, beautiful.
So beautiful evening for that. Want to thank the staff and everybody who works hard on that, all the volunteers. It is truly a team effort to pull those events off, so we appreciate that. A couple of things I want to note. Mayor, with the combination of the Parks and Urban Forestry Board, just as a reminder, we added 2 seats to that board, and then we had 2 resignations. So we had 2 terms. I say resignations, their term ended. So we do have those 2 seats.
Do have vacancies?
Yes, sir.
Thank
And
you
that
for that
was
correction.
Colleen Golightly and Larry's position. So those 2 are open, and that application is available on the city website. One thing I do want to add also, sales tax report. Hopefully you got my email where we were up 5% in the month of May. Year over year, we were still down 1%, so approximately $100,000. So we have accounted for that in your proposed fiscal year 25 budget. So you will see that when we come forward. We've cut the revenues significantly to make up for that shortfall. So staff has been cognizant and more than willing to, we can wait on certain expenditures. Okay, well, we would like to do this, but we can go another year, and let's make up our shortfall. Let's take care of our people first, and then the things that we want to do, we'll readdress that next year. So I applaud the staff and I thank them for that. Mayor, with that, one other thing, KOCO will be here tomorrow, featuring Guthrie as a part of their On the Road tour. You may have noticed they've been to Enid yesterday, Shawnee today, Guthrie tomorrow. While they're in town, the news crew will be visiting several different spots. They're going to start out with a tour of the Twin Cedars camp. They'll go to the temple and take a tour, and we've got lunch. Excuse me. We've got lunch for them at Meridian, which is going to be catered by Guthrie Job Corps. And then they'll come over and they'll get to make some chocolate over at Rick's, get to create some Guthrie gear at one of our local boutiques, stop by several vendors, several local businesses, and then they'll have live broadcasting at the shops beginning that evening. So we're excited for that. Mayor, with that, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Comments from City Council? Councilman Case?
Nothing on that.
Councilman Guthrie?
Nothing?
Councilman Taylor?
Staff, thank you. I appreciate all y'all's work. I mean, everybody does a great job. And it's 4, 5, and 6, is that right, for the TV tomorrow evening? Okay, that's what I was thinking. I remember reading that.
For the what?
I didn't hear
4,
you.
5, and 6. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and
Oh.
6 o'clock.
Yes, that's correct. So they'll head to the shops at 3, and they'll be ready for those
Okay,
broadcasts.
so, can we drop by and,
You're welcome to come by, sir.
other than that, thanks, guys.
Councilman Williams?
No, sir.
Again, a great Red Brick Nights, great fireworks show as always, a tradition in the community and a tradition that lots of people outside the community come here to enjoy too. So hear lots of comments about that. All right, with that, we've got item number 17, proposed to move into executive session to discuss negotiations concerning non-bargaining employee pay plan, discussion of negotiations concerning employees and representatives of the Fraternal Order of Police, and discussing negotiations concerning employees and representatives of the International Association of Firefighters. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Switch votes.
That's right.
Switch votes, unanimous approval, and to move into executive session. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you in a bit. I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Submit your votes.
All votes are
See
in.
the votes, unanimous approval then to come out of executive session. Item number, well, I guess
18.
18 is no action taken on items discussed in executive session. That being the last item on our agenda for the city council. We are adjourned. We open up our City Public Works Authority meeting of July 16th. Second item is the consent agenda items A, B, and C. A is the approval of the Public Works Authority meeting of July 2nd. B is the approval of pay application number 5 for $322,648.50 to Southwest Water Works for completion of water distribution system. And C is the approval to pay application number 37, the amount of $77,983.32 to HCCCO for the completion of Section A wastewater treatment plant. I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
Second.
and a second, and a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Oh,
Speaking for everybody?
just me, Steve, just me.
Okay. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve consent agenda items A, B, and C. Item number 3, removal of items from consent agenda. There were none. Item number 4, change order number 6 with HCCCO, Section A of the wastewater treatment plant. Tenny?
Yes, Mayor, Council. Change order 6 will not change any of the existing contract amount, dollar amount. It will simply delete 2 non-needed radio towers from the project and add in multiple air relief valves along the effluent line. Currently, there's been 3 that has been added. We're looking at a 4th one possibly. And what these relief valves will do is relieve air out of some of the areas where the deep bores were to allow our sewage to get on out to the Cimarron through our discharge line.
So we're actually no change in cost. We're just trading off one thing that we don't need for something that we think is more important.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of Tenny?
Nope, so moved.
Have a motion, have a motion and a second. Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move forward with the change order number 6. Item number 5, solicitation of bids for the water system improvement, water storage tank painting. Tenny.
Yes, Mayor, Council. Agenda item will simply authorize the city staff to solicit bids to go out for bid for this project. And then once bids have been received, we'll bring that back to the council for authorization to award.
So this is just to go out to solicit the bids.
Just to go out to solicit for bid.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to move forward with solicitation of bids for the water system improvement and water tank painting. That being the last item on our agenda, we actually are adjourned for the evening. Thank you very much. No more meetings.